my God. Oh my God.
Hello.
Oh my God.
Good
Is it
evening, all. Hey, 3
is it
Miles.
is it that time of the
It
day?
is that time
It's
again. We are live here on Twitch and also on the Instagrams. Although, for some reason, my comments aren't posting over on Instagram. That's kind of strange.
maybe their feed is still down.
Yeah. But anyway, welcome to oh my God. Welcome to season 3, episode 4 of Lawfully Chaotic. As with me always is my cohort.
Well, not always. I mean, let's be honest.
99% of the
about
time.
that. Yeah.
I feel empty when you're not around.
Okay, that's super sexual, but okay. I'm okay with that. I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable.
But with me is Jason Baldrick, the storyteller from TTRPG Academy. I'm gonna take a sip of my coffee because my brain is
Broken again.
there. Okay, get off your phone! I can't believe you're on your phone on a
Well, I
live
was on my
show.
phone to check the Instagram feed.
God, you
Make
do
sure
that in
was
interviews too? Look,
Yeah,
kid,
I do.
you're
Actually,
not gonna make it in this world.
You're gonna be some poor lowly schlep playing professional games.
Right. So anyway, welcome. Thank you for taking a look if you're viewing this on VOD afterwards on our YouTube channel. Tonight, what are we talking about tonight? Well, let's start with announcements. I ain't got none. Jason, what are your announcements?
My announcing. Let's see. We are closing the studio for a week. I'll be at an event out in Phoenix, so that's definitely happening. Other than that, just getting ready to wrap up some games and open up some new tables, and enjoying the life of playing lots and lots of games every week. Nothing major.
Cool.
I am going to try really hard to work on some new content, get some new things put together. But other than that, not much else going on.
Cool. Yeah, same. Just kind of, wrapping up January here.
Yeah, January needs to be wrapped up.
Yeah. I was listening to the radio this morning. There's a radio show here in Chicago. It's pretty popular. And the guy's like, finally, we're done with the 12 months of January. Which in Chicago sometimes seems
Are we?
accurate. Yeah.
Are we really?
Are we? Yeah.
Are we?
Anyway, so would you like me? I want to start with my topic because from what I understand, you haven't told me what. You've just told me that it's going to be a good conversation. So let's save that.
I don't know if it's going to be a good conversation.
A heated conversation.
It'll be an interesting one because yeah.
And let's get my fluff piece out of the way first.
Fluff piece.
No, so I want to talk about mini painting tonight, and I'm not going to show off a bunch of my. No, it's too early for a rant cam. Come on, there's plenty of ranting later. Not going to show off my work tonight, but I just want to. So I've been painting minis since I'm probably 10 years old, or maybe even a little less. So a good 40 years. Okay. And obviously I've progressed over the years, goes without saying, when you practice something. And I took a long break, as you may know, and I just started painting again within the past. When did I go off on Games Workshop? Because all my fucking Games Workshop paintings.
Oh, recently. Yeah, definitely recently.
Right. So I started painting again within the past couple of months, we'll say. And it's interesting because what I want to talk about is, there are so many people who paint minis out there, but there are a few of them that are really just like fantastic.
Yeah.
And I want to showcase a few of them in a minute. But what I'm getting, the point of bringing this up is I've progressed a lot even recently because I've kind of gone back to the basics. And even though I've been doing this for so long, I feel like there's still a ton that I have to learn and can improve upon. um, in doing this. And I really think the stuff that people are putting out on Instagram it's I mean, it is artwork. You know, a lot of these painters don't just do 28 millimeter miniatures for the game. You know, they're doing larger busts and whatnot. With the advent of 3D printing, obviously, the models
Right.
out there are just, I mean, it's limitless, and some of the work is just fantastic. But two things, and this is kind of a message to those of you who are out there painting and feel you want to get better or never have started it because you're too afraid. For some reason. For those people, I say just do it. Just get a bunch of minis. Don't be afraid of fucking them up. And yeah, patience is. I mean, it definitely has to be something that you are amenable to. You know, but it is a good way if you could learn that patient aspect. It's a good way to just kind of turn off your brain from everything else, from the devices and all the shit. But the range of tools and paints that are out these days are absolutely just mind blowing. Um, so I've got, and none of this. I'm not trying to hawk any brands. This is just some of the top brands, some of the stuff that I use. But Vallejo colors um, are just fantastic. I mean, the range of paints, and none of this is a an epiphany or revolutionary. But for some
Well, for
people,
some people it might be.
it might, right, and that's why I wanted to talk about it. You've got regular paints, you've got inks, you've got fluorescent paints, you've got glow in the dark
Brian's
paints,
gonna start a Zen mini painting
right?
podcast soon.
Yeah, you've got regular game color. There are here's some Citadel. There's like blood paint, which is real scoopy and wet looking. There's all kinds of washes for rusts and effects. There's inks and glazes. There's freaking snow and mud and shit like that.
Is it a cathartic feeling you get out of painting? Like, do you actually
Yeah.
genuinely feel like
I do.
it's a cathartic release? Because that's always been my struggle with painting, is that I don't feel cathartic at all. It feels like work. It feels like humdrum, grinding, boring, unfulfilling work, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. There are some
and
times,
I hate the fact that it feels that way. I hate the fact.
Well, I mean,
that
it's
it feels that way.
All kidding aside, it's not for everybody. Yeah, that yes, it's a lot of it.
Especially
I think,
if you're OCD.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
and I think, and I'm not as bad as you, but I am a little bit, and
yeah,
I mean,
but I think you're OCD with the sense of being okay with making corrections.
Yeah.
If I'm working with something where it's like super like not cathartic,
yeah,
then all I'm doing is reminding myself is how fucking awful I am.
Well, okay, fair point.
Or even worse, feeling like, oh, there's so many other people.
Well, that is that is a major part of it, is you can't, and I don't compare myself to these other people. I strive to achieve what they have. Okay. But I mean, there is an aspect of, I finish something and I'm like, that didn't really, that didn't really turn out the way I was thinking, yada, yada, yada. But again, for me, it's also about, even after so long and at this stage, kind of reinventing how I paint minis and whatnot. And part of that also is the tools. I've also started using an airbrush again. So I've got two Harder and Steenbeck airbrushes. And they're expensive. Okay. They're not the most expensive, but they are fairly expensive. But I could just yeah, right. Yeah, extra credit. You get 10. You get a magic item. Your character gets a magic item if you paint a mini. But these are extremely easy to use, and I say that's a relativistic term. Okay, an airbrush is not easy to use, but as airbrushes go, these things are freaking fantastic. If you ever thought about getting into airbrushing, I highly suggest check out Harder and Steenbeck. They're just fucking fantastic. So the range of and with paints, again, there's There's glaze mediums, matte mediums. There's chipping mediums, so you can get that chipped metal effect. The range of tools at your disposal is just incredible. Way more than it's ever been, in the past. The
Had you been
formulations,
exposed to these tools as a kid, do you think you'd be way better at it now?
I do honestly.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I don't know. You could say I think I would be, but some people could
Do
say,
you
well, they're a
have you keep
crutch because you're using
yeah,
a
but
pre-formulated color rather than mixing that effect yourself. But
do
I
you keep
honestly think
a
that like anything, these are tools, and I do think I would have been better if I had.
do you keep examples um do you keep examples of a paint job you did once before and compare it to something that you've done recently? Do you
I
ever
haven't
pull that
yet.
out and like kind of take a look at it and go, "Oh wow, this is shittier than I thought it was compared
Yeah.
to how I'm painting
I've
now."
done that like personally when I'm rooting through my, my mini, unbuilt or extra parts or old minis. I do that. I it's funny you say that because I'm going to do a few posts like that. I just haven't pulled the right pieces yet. But yes, I
Right.
do find that. And I mean, I'm not going to lie. There are a lot of people out there that are way better than me, but I'm a fairly decent mini painter, right?
I mean, I don't
Um,
see the harm in lying about it. It's not like anyone can care.
but I mean, I am learning and improving. And the second part of this of the equation are these. So here's a few these guys. Jose Da Vinci on Instagram. Jose David Gonzalez. Interestingly enough, Vallejo is a Spanish company. Green Stuff World, which has not only paints now, but a whole range of craft and hobby supplies, molds and textures and tools and everything. They're from Spain. They're in Spain.
Right, right.
I think 3 of the 4 guys I'm going to show right here are from Spain. So I don't know. Spain has become the miniature painting mecca of the world for some reason. But the second part of this diatribe is watch these guys' videos. First of all,
Are
if you're
those
really
images or are those actual models?
no, this is their work.
Oh wow, that's insane.
Look at this bronze statue. And I've learned a ton lately just watching these guys' videos
That's insane. That's absolutely
um,
insane.
that are not playing. But they do these you can really pick up a lot just by watching these guys for 30 seconds or a minute because they do a really good job of demonstrating their techniques.
Mhm.
And, you know, go support them on Patreon and you get full access to all of their shit. I mean, the skin tone involved in this guy here, these are not loading, but the skin tone involved in this guy here
Mm.
is like 6 different layers of different colors. And it's
Well, yeah, I
just,
mean the like the blood vessels and
yeah,
the muscle sinew tightened together. I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
but
it's
way more. There's
yeah.
3 levels of glaze that you can barely tell the difference in color shades of until it's done. And that's what
Mm.
really makes the difference on these guys. Here's another guy, Angel Heraldez. This guy is just absolutely phenomenal. I've actually talked to him on direct message with some questions and stuff, questions about the airbrushes. He's a Harder and Steenbeck brand ambassador. But
Yeah.
I encourage you, I wish these were playing here, but I encourage you, check these guys out. I'll put them in the chat. And like I said, you can learn a freaking ton. This guy here, Juan Sanz, El Miniaturista. This guy's OSL, which is object source lighting, which is making things look like they are glowing from a light source,
Yeah.
is fucking unbelievable. Look, I mean, just look.
Are these guys all Golden Demon guys that have won
I
the
don't know
Golden
that
Demons or
they really do that. They may have.
Mm.
But I mean, look at this. Look at the glow effects, the fire. I mean, this guy is just unbelievable. Look at this.
Yeah, wow. Yeah,
So just
the
by watching,
Necrons and
yeah,
that's crazy, man.
he did a Terminator style teleport hole for this Terminator Marine. from the movie Terminator when he teleported in.
Yeah.
I mean, look at that. That's all paint. That's not that's fucking paint.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
absolutely crazy.
Child Creative does both sculpts. They're a studio, but they also do painting. So yeah, it's just, and then Green Stuff World also, they've got a whole line of products, but they also do tutorials on how to paint, a lot of base, how to do bases and stuff. So there's just I just thought it was kind of cool how far this stuff has come, since way back when, and really only within the past maybe 5 or 6 years. With these paint ranges and stuff like that, but people have, and all these guys do commissions. Angel Giraldes did a commission for Joe Manganiello of this fantastic, like, it wasn't Frazetta's Death Dealer on a horse, but it was similar.
Right.
I mean, it's just fucking unbelievable. So I guess the takeaway is check these guys out, okay? And this is just a small. I mean, if you're interested in miniatures, you probably already follow them on Instagram. But you really can learn. I've learned a lot just by watching, again, just their little posts of, of their techniques and whatnot.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, when I see that, my OCD brain says, why do I want to watch other people make things look so easy? And then, like, I imagine myself, like, there's been a couple times where on YouTube and other places I've tried to watch how they teach you to paint, and it just makes me more angry that it's not easy, and they
do make it look easy. You want to know one of the silliest things that I finally learned with it this past 2 months? Watching these guys and talking to Angel Giraldes. Is it Geraldes? I don't know if it's Geraldes or Giraldes. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing it. But, is just working with the right paint consistency. Like, I've done oil painting. I was an art major in school, and I'm just learning now with miniature paints, like, thin them out enough so you can fucking work with them and don't end up with all this globby shit on the mini. It's like ridiculous, simple shit like that. You're always, exactly. The answer to that is once, maybe, depending on how shitty the first job was.
Well, there's some, I know, one of my players, her boyfriend will literally use a chemical to take the paint off of a mini.
Yeah.
And then repaint it.
Yeah, you can either use thinner, or sometimes you can use brake fluid,
so
depending on what the material is. But
it's an interesting transition for me in this conversation because I'm emotional today.
Okay.
And I can sense your emotion about your excitement about painting, whereas I have the polar opposite emotion right now of I hate the idea of painting. I fucking hate the idea. I fucking hate.
And that is perfectly fair. I'm not saying that everybody should start painting minis. I'm just saying if you're interested in it, there's a lot. There's a lot that you could learn. What paints to use, what tools to use, what techniques to use.
We haven't made my rant cam yet. I haven't had time. I've just been swamped with getting ready for my event next week. And
I want you to make it so you can use the same prompts you did for me. So they look the same. But
okay.
So on that note, let's transition over to what you have to say.
I always try to be non-political whenever possible in these kind of situations, whether it's my gaming groups or you have to pay your rant cam.
Yes,
or if it's
my waiting on Jason's rant cam. Yeah, go ahead.
My personal gaming groups or whatever it is, right? So I prepared myself to talk about the MCDM, which is the Matt Colville dungeon mastering system.
Yeah,
because I spent some time reading it and tackles a lot of the narrative and cinematic effects that's becoming more and more popular. I'm kind of realizing that some of the Candela stuff I'm having some issues with, and I'm not sure if I like it. And I'm beginning to redress that. But
from a mechanic standpoint?
Mechanics and just the general flow and how the expectation of the game is. And it's fine. It's all self-reflective stuff. But then I'm looking at my feed, and WotC's back in my feed again. And I think this is pretty recent. There were some articles popping up from Game Rant, Rock Paper Shotgun, Pendelli, and Warzone, and some of the other folks that write a lot of articles about news regarding gaming in general, as a whole, as an industry. And now the rumor mill is floating that WotC's going to sell D&D, or that Hasbro is. And I suspect, because through my own connections and conversations with other people in the different parts of the world, 10-cent. And we'll get to that in a minute.
This shouldn't come as any surprise. How long?
No, but I'll get to why I'm upset at both myself and trying to figure out what to do about it.
Okay.
So I found out from a contact that Haynes is selling Champion because Haynes is $2 billion in debt. So if you're a company, what do? You sell things off, right? So I'm describing an emotion, right? So if you're someone that's linked to a brand through emotion, you view things very differently.
Absolutely.
I despise all companies based in China. Despise them all. Hate them all. And my emotional reason for that is because China's not a democracy, and it doesn't play by the rules of fairness as it relates to business. And I'm looking at the earnings in 2020 for Tencent, $482.1 billion.
Jesus Christ.
Now, I know for a fact that China lies about its GDP, and I'm not too dissuaded by the fact it wouldn't surprise me if Chinese companies lied about their earnings. Now, if you want to get listed on the American stock market, obviously you have to pass certain rules and regulations to do that, right? I haven't decided that if I'm upset because it's a Chinese company, or am I upset that Hasbro would even consider allowing a rumor to sell off such a unique IP to a what do they call it, a international conglomerate, right? Because Hasbro is not an international conglomerate. They are a national company based out of the United States with many different IPs under their name, and therefore they're a United States company that plays by our rules of democracy. If you're a business in an autocracy, which China is not a democracy. For those of you out there that think it is, you're fooling yourself, you're lying to yourself, and you're sleepwalking into the rise of totalitarianism in a place that used to have democracy. Whether you go to China Insights, China Observer, or all these other places that are showing and warning people about the eventual collapse of China through the deflation of the valuation of their country, why in the fuck would Hasbro even bother to allow such a fucking rumor to come into existence? Exactly. At the end of the day, our own democratic principles are actually being tossed out the window of fair play for nothing more than the principle of debt. And more importantly, Tencent isn't even a traditional game holding, platform. They are a microtransaction platform, going back to our concerns about the way that the company is being helmed by a background of people that don't even care about the actual idea of it. The idea of a TTRPG versus the idea of a video game. And I'm like, yeah, get 2 extra proficiencies.
Lawfully communist.
And then I began to explore, my feelings about this because I really don't want to come across as racist. I don't think
it's a racist thing.
It doesn't matter what you think.
No, your argument is based on political reasoning. I don't think that is a racist thing at all.
But interpretation is always going to be based on the person absorbing the information. And
the races, that's another issue that we probably should not.
Well, no, I don't know, because it's fair for people to assume it is, because I'm just an old white Kevin. Maybe I'm
No,
being
I
my Kevin.
I
Maybe I'm in
disagree.
my Kevin moment. I don't know. I've never
No,
had one before, so I don't know what it looks like. But
I
I'm
would
also
disagree on the racist aspect.
well, but I'm self-reflective enough to know that very many different people can,
Yeah.
Interpret things in very different ways. I know, right? So, oddly enough, I'm not a big Elon Musk fan. I don't know if that's odd or not. But there was an article that came out maybe a month ago, where they were talking about how a electric car company in China just like blew past, the Tesla, mile marker for sales. And I'm like, well, of course they did. They exist in a communist country. They could say whatever they want. They could do whatever they want. There's nothing regulating them. Oh, by the way, there are entire square mile lots of EV cars from this company that have been wholesale abandoned because they can't find buyers or because the batteries keep blowing it. Yeah, BYD, right? And they have 2-3 miles away. They have a location in California. They get all the benefits of a democracy, but they are rooted in a country that's a communist country, that's an authoritarian country. Where is the sense of fair play? Why are we allowing these companies to prosper in a democracy? Why? Where? It's because of money. No one cares about the morality of an autocracy or the morality of a government institution that is designed to literally do the antithesis of democracy and still call itself successful and prosperous. And I'm just like, if you're in a seat of government and you're watching, if you're a D&D nerd and you're triggered by Hasbro even allowing a rumor of an IP like D&D to be sold off to a Chinese company, you shouldn't be mad because of your IP's love of Hasbro, because it's indifferent to that. What you should be mad about is, once again, something that is the very cultural fabric of our country, from my perspective, is being bantered around as if it's a check to write off the debt of really bad decision-making people within the morality bubble that says, I have to follow the rules of democracy because I believe in it, but we'll still allow communist regimes and autocracies to do whatever they want.
I don't disagree.
Oh, I disagree with you completely, 3 Miles. Autocracies are bad because they will put a gun to your head to tell you to do what you don't want to do. So no, I don't agree with that at all. That is completely not true. In fact, entire groups of people in China have disappeared because of an autocracy. I, at least in a democracy, have a fighting chance. I have a fighting chance. There are enough rules and bureaucracy in place to allow me to have a fighting chance. You're going down a wrong path. You're going down a personal path. What I'm talking about is, I'm talking about how I was triggered by a very specific IP that I happen to love, not because it's Hasbro's IP. Hell, not even because WotC's been labeled on top of it, but because in our current state of existence, where we are now on this day, not our past and not the upcoming future of a lot of things that are about to play out, but staring at us at this very moment in time, a very culturally ingrained IP is being used to do nothing more than to pay off debt. There's no morality brought into it. There's no cultural understanding brought into it. The generalization of our past is not a good argument. And the unwitting opportunities of our future are not a good argument. We are at a crossroads, and the crossroads that we're at, are you willing to allow corporations that hold your cultural IPs to use them for nothing more than to pay off their bad decisions?
Yeah, and I totally
Oh, I
agree
agree
with
with you on that one, 3 Miles. And I'm not calling their cultural wrong or right. I'm just saying if you're in our playground,
you.
you
Hmm.
play by the playground rules.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Well, this is a much larger and deeper discussion that would be.
No, it's not. See, that's what bothers me. It really isn't.
No.
That
I'm saying this can lead to a much broader
no, it doesn't.
discussion
It doesn't.
of corporate morality. Yeah, it could.
I disagree because I think all this finally lays transparently out for all of us is that this is the final nail in the coffin. There is no place to go.
You're
There
talking
is
about
no
for D&D, right?
no, just mostly for D&D, but I think with as passionate as this culture is around the D&D IP, it is that kind of final nail in the coffin that says corporations aren't democratic. And while we've all kind of like skated around that through the different contextual ways it's been described for us, or the fights of freedom that ebb and flow back and forth, right? This great battle that goes on. I have shielded myself from all the nefarious nature of things by convincing myself there's certain things that no one would ever allow to go away. If you're a farmer, it was John Deere, right? If you're, if you're an engineer, it was Boeing. If you're, if you're a designer for automobiles, it was Ford. So
Yeah.
I recognize that a lot of people have gone through these transitional phases of recognition and coming to these particular crossroads. I'm at that crossroad where I felt bad that I felt this way because I should be more enlightened than that. But yet I have to come to terms with the fact that I do feel this way. And I should
first of all
become reflective about that as well.
So my response is overall, first of all, you should not feel that way for feeling that way.
Well,
I wish Matt and Jeff were here because we talk about this shit all the time. And I think your anger stems from a naive wish of the way things should be. And I don't say that in a mean way because I am the exact same way. And the two of them always put me back in my place by stating what you basically just stated. Corporations don't give a fuck.
Right.
They are there to make money.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the world we're in today is more about money than it's ever been in the past. Yeah. It's about instant gratification. It's about not making a lot of money.
Don't feel bad, comrade.
You stay answered chat. I will finish discussion. Okay? It's not good enough to make a shitload of money. You got to make a fucking shitload of money. All right? Yeah, exactly. Corporations are people too, and all the fucking tax shelter and all the the multi tens of millions of dollar bonuses for C-suite. All of that shit.
Do you want to know when what year 10 Cent was founded?
Probably like what, 2017?
No, goes way back.
99.
It was founded in 1998. Mm-hmm. And guess where they established their corp?
Delaware.
Cayman Islands.
Okay.
Like right alongside Capone, right alongside Scarface, right alongside Putin.
Right, and what I'm saying is
everybody else.
The reason why I don't like to hear you say that you feel bad for feeling this way is because it's a fact. It's not it's an emotion based on facts, all right? Corporations these days are shit. There is no morality left. There is no, ethics left. And that's why I said this is a much longer conversation for our other show that we've been threatening to start, which is Anything of Interest, which has nothing to do with gaming, but an open forum. But if I bring it back to the D&D aspect, you're right. Hasbro, first of all, why they would sell D&D, I mean, it's one of their two IPs that is making
a
money.
Rumor that they are denying and they're saying no, but
they could have also leaked it themselves to generate interest in the property.
Once again, those social media gurus out there
exactly
that, do what they do.
Exactly. But if that is the case, and that is their number one buyer will say right now, this is news to me. I agree with you in every way. I think it not only is it, it's another company going to China to make shit cheaper. It's like Nike. Okay, whatever. So
I don't
that we
even
can
think,
pay $120 for a pair of Nikes.
But I don't think that is a substantiated excuse anymore. I think
I'm not saying it's an excuse. I'm just saying it's even worse than that, because to your point, this is not just a product. It is part of our cultural identity. I think it's fair to say that. You look at all the movies, and references and
one of the things that I was wrapping my emotions around for this was that playing D&D is a very democratic process. Right? It really is. And my fascination with the gradual collapse of China since Xi Jinping took over, it's very fascinating to watch people willingly let their democracy die. You watch it with the Russians.
Where have you been in America? Where have you been in America for the past 40 years?
No, but the fight is the fight is different. You don't generalize this because that diminishes it.
Yeah,
the fight is very different here versus the lack of fight elsewhere. There is the only place in Southeast Asia where people are actually dying to get their democracy back is in Myanmar. Right. So if you look at the willingness to allow the reestablishment of culture and the reestablishment of the communist methodology in China, it's mostly out of fear, nostalgia, right? The same formula for disaster that took hold in other countries, including our own to a certain degree. But I find it interesting that my morality is being, kind of challenged by the idea that maybe if they all play D&D, they'd feel more free. I don't know. Like, to me, D&D is a democratic system.
Well, it's an escape. It is an escape.
Not only that, but it's designed to create a safe space of equality. It's designed to create a safe space of opportunity and immersion and have some fun with it. And I'm like, I'm not even really sure what Tencent would know to do with it other than just take the IP as a skin and build a little mobile app game that they can charge you for it, and then just not care one way or the other.
And I don't mean to diminish this at all, because I don't mean.
Yeah, 3 Miles is right. Tencent just pretty much just owns IPs. They own it.
Yeah, like this is a huge problem overall. And if I comment just on the D&D aspect as an IP, everybody with the whole OSL debacle and the whole start of
OGL, the
OGL, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm still stuck on mini painting OSL. With all of that stuff, everybody lost their shit at the beginning of that and was like, this is the death of D&D. It's going to go away, blah, 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 blah. And we've realized so far that it hasn't, although this could be, something like this could just be the culmination. I personally, my gut says that if a company like Tencent takes it, they're going to fuck it up beyond belief, and it might just kill it.
Well, no, I don't think they'd do anything with it other than hang it on a coat hook and turn it into a mobile game. I think that's all they know how to do.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And as a we'll all still be able to play with the stuff we have, but as a continuing entity, the way we know it, I don't think it's going to exist. They're going to digitize the shit out of it, and like you said, and microtransact the crap out of it. Yeah. And it may very well stop being published until they fucking sell it and somebody else buys it that actually gives a shit. So I agree with you, and I have the same emotions. I just haven't had time to stew over it yet because, like I said, this is news to me. But
I don't ever think I've said that it's a free space. I think everyone should make licensing money and make a fair wage, a fair profit against something in the world of fairness, right? If we're all playing by equal rules and we're all equally benefiting from, a marketplace designed to bring us all and elevate us all at an equal pace, not communism, because there's no equality in communism. Yeah, they do. They do have a very popular free social platform and so does TikTok, right? Once again, we keep just like skirting at the edge of the obvious. These are state-owned companies. They are state subsidized. Every company that operates in China the state has a stake in what they do. Plain simple. They'll tell you that when they go and do business in China, you have to be willing to give up a portion of your company to the state.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple.
Yeah.
Now, for 40 years, when the GDP was on a steady rise, that big profit margin was hard to ignore. Low costs, but as they gained in affluency and people began to get wealth, suddenly they weren't willing to work for $2 an hour. No human being should be forced to do that.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, I've never been triggered like that before. My empathy muscle has been very, very exercising over the last 2-3 years since I got out of the corporate space, and became much more reflective.
Like you said, it's something very near and dear to us. It's why we're all here, and I don't mean here on Lawfully Chaotic. I mean here in this community.
Yeah.
And that's really disheartening to hear that may happen. It really is. It is. And bullshit.
Most of the stories have been within the last 24 to 40 hours of discussion. So I don't want to give it too much credence.
Well, I also saw an article that said D&D is now Dungeons and Dragons system is now available on Foundry VTT.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Which also, and I need to look more into it because I'm not sure, because what happened to their VTT? Is this an in the meantime? Is this setting them up? Is this setting them up? What about all
that exciting promo?
Buy it? And I'm not trying to change the subject from what you brought up, but it seems that they're for both of these news pieces to come out at the same time. What the fuck is going on? Did someone just get a hold of their social platform and just go down?
I actually agree with 3 Miles on that. I would.
Oh my God, that would be
I would love for some knight or priestess in shining robes or shining armor to step out of the middle of the ether space and buy it and bring it back to the people. I really would. I don't know if they'd make a lot of money doing that, but I can guarantee you they would gain a lot of support for sure.
Well, how much did it cost to buy D&D? What, 100, 200 million?
That's a good question. I don't know, actually.
All right, fine. Dig into the petty cash, and I guess we won't get that new lighting system. We'll buy D&D instead. No, I would like to talk about this overall more. I got to get that anything of interest up. So
it still kills me that WotC acquired TSR and 5 Rings for $25 million.
Yeah, but at that time it was not, that's probably what it was worth.
So
what's it gross? What is it gross now?
I'm not really sure. Well, I mean, they're saying that in general between 250 and 300 million to buy, Wizards of the Coast, which represents the D&D IP. So if you were to buy WotC and all of their IP, it's quite a portfolio, obviously.
So here's the thing. Set the China thing aside, okay? Let's say they're going to sell it to whoever, we don't know. The fact that what bothers me more, and I'm not diminishing what you said about the fact that it is China and a communist country. I totally agree with you wholeheartedly. What bothers me more, I think, is that your other point is that they're just using it as a check to cash.
Right.
It's first of all, that and Magic are their biggest earners. So again, it is the classic American mentality of short-term reactionary thinking.
Right.
Right.
So
it's just I worked at Sears for a lot of years, and we all know Sears was the biggest fucking sinking Titanic of a company because Eddie Lampert sunk that fucking 125-year-old American foundation of American retail business. He sunk that company inside of 10 fucking years. And as they were sinking, he was selling the lifeboats. He sold off Craftsman Tools, which was their biggest. Craftsman and Kenmore were their most valuable
he was selling
IPs.
those things off to pay the debt.
Exactly. But then where does that, like I said, they're selling the fucking lifeboats. So now when the Lido deck is just about at water level, you're like, oh, well, we shouldn't, now what the fuck do we do? I guess we're going down.
In 2022, the IP of D&D, right? The IP alone made between $100 and $150 million in 2022. Right. So if they are considering selling the D&D IP to cash in,
so they're getting 2 years worth of income.
Who knows?
It doesn't sound like a good deal to me.
Well, it depends on how many other Hasbro IPs they're willing to unload. Because the problem with January is the month where all the corporations in the world get together in their little boardrooms and say, okay, this is our debt.
Okay, let me ask you this. To your point about the way corporations are run and the lack of morality, how much do you think they pay their fucking C-suite people in bonuses and salaries? Seriously.
Yeah, I know. It all goes back.
That's got to be tens of millions of dollars. How much is Fuckface making from Microsoft? He didn't come from Microsoft for pittance.
I know.
It's ridiculous.
I'm exhausted. Move on.
It's all of it. Now I'm triggered. You triggered me, and now we gotta leave. God damn it! It's time for the rant cam. So anyway, that is very upsetting. I agree with you on a lot of levels.
It was an interesting read. It was a lot of information that distracted me and sidetracked me. Buy things up, crank it up, sell it off, jump ship. That defined the 80s. That's a good point. It's a really good point.
How many yachts can you water ski behind?
I know, right? When is enough, people?
Yeah.
When is enough?
I've said that. I don't begrudge anybody for being filthy rich, but there is a point at which it just becomes fucking pointless and ridiculous.
Well,
honestly,
I think at the end of the day, if the euphoria of your life comes from hoarding your wealth, you may want to be a little bit more self-reflective.
Yeah, exactly.
If influencing hundreds of thousands of people and elevating their condition is where you get your euphoria from, that's a human being.
Yeah.
So
well.
Anyways, we did it again. We both
we have a lot to
spilled.
We have a lot of blood. We have a lot to digest on that. By the way, we lost our Instagram feed. I think they were still having that glitch because I couldn't even pull the page up.
Oh no, I think you just lost the ability to comment on it because I still have it.
No. Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh well, I don't have the page open, so I don't know if I can kill the feed then. We're gonna be live for it'll time out after an hour, right? It's gonna be.
What do I know about technology?
It's gonna be extra 15 minutes of just black.
I'm just a gamer. I don't know shit about technology.
Okay. Well, that was rather deep, and I still want to get this other platform up so we can have discussions without boring the game community.
Yeah.
With shit like this, but anyway, where can we find you in plotting and scheming?
You can find me. I'm trying to be better about it. You can find me at Linktree, TTRPG Academy. All my socials are there. You can go hit me up over on Twitch.
All right. And likewise, Linktree /RPG and Co. And also on Instagram, RPG and Co.
TPK.
Tell a story.
Play a game.
And be kind.
Good night, everybody.